Please prepare. That looks like a nice restaurant, Chris.
Welcome to the new Towne Mall in New Philadelphia, Ohio, not to be confused with the Towne Mall in Middletown, Ohio, not too far away. For those of you unfamiliar with New Philadelphia, Ohio, it's south of Canton, Ohio, and the Cleveland metro area. So here we are in a super dead wing of this mall, and just looking at the aesthetics and the floor, I'm not really quite sure what to think of this, because normally I'd be looking at the aesthetics of a mall like this with the tile going, wow, it's just so retro. But then the colors aren't very 80s or 90s, so it's just kind of like, what is so weird? And this mall, it's kind of in a weird state because there really aren't any other malls for quite some distance. The closest mall to this would be up in Canton, Ohio. And I wouldn't say this mall is dead. It's not really, I don't know, it's just sort of in limbo. And when I visited, it wasn't all that busy, although there's a fair amount of stores still open. I don't know if you love or hate the aesthetics of this mall. I'm just kind of undecided myself. I mean, for me, it was just kind of off-putting because you're looking around at all the mall plants going, wow, this is so 80s and 90s aesthetics. And then you look at the floor and the pattern is 80s and 90s, but then the colors just don't kind of work. You're expecting like teal or mauve or something of the 1980s. Now that we're heading up toward the food court, there's something a little special up ahead, and I want you to take a listen to it because I thought it was absolutely fantastic that they still have a working fountain. Yeah, completely running and everything, and it even has its colored lights. Plans for this mall would begin in 1987, and the mall would officially open in 1988, featuring a Farmore, Hills, JCPenney, Sears, and Elder Beerman as its anchor stores. Now, taking a walk through this mall, I would never have guessed that it had that many anchor stores at one point. I mean, as far as malls go, this place isn't really all that big, with only 505,029 square feet of retail space. And yet, oddly enough, it has space for 6 anchor tenants. Oh boy, you know you're in a small town mall when they have the amazing space and it has its own store. Oh, if only we could go back to the 80s and 90s when we had real arcades that people actually visited. And what is up with this palm tree and this fake grass here? Do they really think it's an oasis here? I don't know. Here we have the yard, which is normally larger, and you usually find it in bigger malls that are in major cities. So just kind of weird to see that one lonely game there. I've noticed a lot of malls in smaller towns, and especially up in Northeast Ohio, have radio stations inside of them, or at least are advertising a radio station. When this mall opened, it featured a food court and a movie theater. Well, the food court's still here, but I didn't see a movie theater when I visited. Now I wanted to talk about all the stores that have been in this mall leading up to what's currently left. As far as department stores go, there used to be a JCPenney and an Elder Beerman, and an Ames/Hills, if you consider that a department store. I kinda do. They used to have a Goodies, but that only lasted a few years, and was replaced by a Steve & Barry's, which only lasted a few years. You can kind of see the trend here. And this was in the early to mid-2000s. Oh, and of course you can't forget the Sears, which of course closed in typical Sears fashion and is no longer a part of the mall. This mall does have a very nice food court. I just wish it was a lot busier because I'd hate to see this thing collapse. But there is something kind of cool inside the food court that we're going to take a look at in a few minutes. Currently, the mall has Marshall's, Kohl's, and Jo-Ann Fabrics as the anchor stores. Now, let me tell you a little bit about that Jo-Ann Fabrics. It's a very weird store because why would you have a store that could have a mall entrance but doesn't have a mall entrance? They actually make you go outside the mall, walk around to the main entrance, and then you have to enter in from the parking lot. I think that's just a really stupid design, and it actually discouraged me from going in there because my mom and I wanted to look for some picture frames for something, and she was kind of getting tired, and she was like, ugh, if I have to go outside and walk around the store, forget it. So we didn't end up going in there, and they lost a potential sale. And that's just one example of poor store design. Now that we're back in the food court, let's check out this little convenience store that's fully automatic. The concept is that they don't need to hire a cashier. You just use the self-checkout. These kind of stores always make me feel like I'm stealing, even though I'm not. What about you guys? Leave your comment down below. I've only been to one before, and it was in, I can't remember where it was at, but this is so cool. It's like there's no one in here to check you out. You just do it automatically yourself at one of these self-checkouts. That's so cool.
Is that nothing you want?
No. I know. I haven't gone down the Kohl's wing yet. Well, that's mainly because my mom started getting really tired and there wasn't a whole lot to see down that wing, so I just sort of was like, whatever, there's a Kohl's down there. And of course I would have to park down at this end, making me have to walk through this sad, depressing, dead section of the mall, reminding me that, yep, the mall in America is failing. But we can quickly turn that frown upside down and smile, because this is a double feature and we get to head off to another mall, and one that I think is doing a lot better than this one. So for now, we say farewell to the new Towne Mall in New Philadelphia, Ohio.
Ace is the place you come to for everything you're looking for. Ace is the place that lends a helping hand. Ace is the place.
For Ace Best Buys, like 20 Ace heavy-duty trash bags for $2.49.
Ace is the place.
An Ace round point shovel for $2.99 after rebate. And Wells Lamont cowhide work gloves for $4.99 with free canvas gloves.
Ace is the place with the help of Hardware Land.
This is the Jefferson Mall in Louisville, Kentucky, a much nicer and busier mall than the one we just looked at. And that makes sense, it's in a major metro area. Now let's not get ahead of ourselves, this by no means is the best mall in Louisville, Kentucky. That title would have to go to the Oxmoor Center or the Mall St Mathews, but by no means is this a dead mall. Oh boy, look at that, another Joann's attached to the mall. I wonder if this one has the same poor design as the last one we took a look at. Well, let's head inside and find out. What is it with today's video? I seem to be ending up parking at the deader end of each of the malls that we're looking at right here. Because, once again, as soon as we walk in, I don't really see any stores. Oh, but we can see this Joann's up here and what used to be a Sears. So, yeah, definitely it's the dead end of the mall. But we can have a celebration because we can actually enter inside the Joann's from within the mall. In fact, I'm not quite sure that there is an outside entrance to this Joann's. Pretty sure you can only get to it from within inside the mall. The Jefferson Mall would open in August of 1978 and would be named for the county that it's located in. This is a single-level mall with 950,350 square feet of retail space. As you can see here by the map, it mainly consists of one long U-shaped corridor. Or do you consider that a V? Anyways, it's not straight. The original anchor stores were JCPenney, Sears, Stewart Dry Goods, and Shillito's. This is the food court. Now I have to say, I do like the aesthetics of this mall for being a more updated mall. Yeah, I know, it doesn't have all the 80s and 90s aesthetics, so all of you mall rats out there are gonna be like, oh man, they updated it. But for being an updated mall, I kinda like it. In 2000, the mall would be sold to CBL and Associate Properties of Chattanooga, Tennessee. In 2005, Macy's would take over the former Shillito's, but would close in 2017 as a company-wide downsizing. That Macy's would later become Round One Entertainment. So currently the mall has Dillard's, JCPenney, and the Round One Entertainment as its anchors. Let's get a little bit more into this mall's aesthetics, because I'm kind of undecided as to whether I like them or not. You can tell this mall is using skylights to help light the mall naturally. It's kind of a newer concept, and I really like it because it allows the mall to be nice and brightly lit. But on the other hand, you'll hit sections where there are no skylights and it's just a bunch of, electric lighting, and it's just kind of a weird mix. Because you end up going from nice brightly lit areas to darker, dimmer areas, I feel this mall's not evenly lit. But this center court here is awesome. I love it. I've never seen anything like this in a mall. It's just beautiful. What do you guys think about the aesthetics of this mall and this center court? It would be awesome if they had a really nice carousel right here, and maybe at one time they did. Now, one thing I don't like in any commercial space is carpeting, and especially in high traffic areas like malls, because it just doesn't hold up as well as a tile floor would. Now, mixing them both together is just kind of strange, and I don't know why they wouldn't have just continued the tile all the way across. It would have made a whole lot more sense and been a whole lot more durable. When I was listing all the current anchors, I didn't mention the Ross Dress for Less. I don't know, would you guys consider it an anchor? I guess it would be an anchor, so we can throw that in and add it to the list. I typically think of an anchor store more like a department store, where it's a very large retail space, where it has access from the parking lot. You can get directly into the store, but then it also has a mall entrance, like this JCPenney we're looking at. I'm sorry to have to inform you, we won't be taking a tour of this round one. When I approached the entrance, the security guard rudely shooed me away for not having a mask. Wait, it's 2022. I didn't think we were doing COVID anymore. Thanks for coming along to take a look at these two malls. If you'd like to support the work I'm doing here, the best way to do that is to smash that like button and help destroy the monster that is the YouTube algorithm. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and share the video. I do content just like this every Wednesday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you everyone for supporting the future of video, and I'll see you in the next one.